Just because Marc Daniels isn't here doesn't mean there's no beat of sports. Filling in for Mark, here's Mike Talk.
It is a Friday, and I think we can officially say it, a football Friday, reacting to football last night here on the Beat of Sports, FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, online streaming 969thegame.com. And if you want to see our shining pretty faces in CV's new hat, check us out at YouTube as well, 96.9 Game On. What's up, Chris?
What's up, Tuck? How we doing, sir?
You want to tell the folks what's on the hat, or do you want to force them to hop on and see?
I mean, we should have them hop on to the
All right,
stream.
we'll reveal it later in case you're like, maybe
All
you're
right.
in the car, you can't pull up YouTube right now. I get it. I get it. But yeah, Chris has got a new hat on,
Yes.
right? It has something to do with the show. I'll give you that much.
Building a brand.
Building a brand.
Building a brand.
Mark out for the week, but we expect him back on Monday. Always appreciate him allowing me the opportunity to sit here and talk with you guys. We have a very, very, very busy show today. We have the week in review. It's been moved up to 10 o'clock today. Bobby can't make it today, so we are absent Bobby today, but we got the week in review at 10. Richard Hale, and we're going to talk a little bit about this bill in college football and a judge in Denver who's trying to cause turbulence on the college athletic seas with overruling the 5-5 rule that they're trying to put in place out there. So we'll talk about that with him. Mike O'Donnell after that. We'll have Cam Meller in the 11 o'clock hour, as well as he missed his shift yesterday, like me, had Meet the Teacher, and so his Meet the Teacher was a little earlier. So we'll get his thoughts on the top 25 poll and maybe even what he saw out of a couple of rookie quarterbacks last night and what he expects maybe from the rookie class this year. So very, very busy day on the show here today. I mentioned this at the end of the show yesterday as it regards now UNLV head coach Dan Mullen. Did a pretty good job there last year. As I mentioned, the Runnin' Rebs might actually have a chance to be a college football playoff team this year as a group of 5 submission. Threw a little shade at his former club, the Florida Gators. And he said, I think 3 out of my 4 years, we would have made the college football playoff. Maybe that would have looked a little bit different back then with the resume keeping me around a little bit longer. He went on to add, things haven't gone as well since he left the university. No shade at John Summerall, but let's just say that the whole Napier experience was not equal to that of the Dan Mullen experience, not on the field anyway. So I told you, like, I've looked at this before, and like I think even with a 4-team playoff, like you were wearing your Knowles hat yesterday, I say as much as we put Bobby Bowden on maybe the Mount Rushmore of all-time college football coaches, deservedly so, you finish in the top 14 consecutive years, methinks, as good as those Knowles teams were, even though maybe they lost earlier in a season or had a wide right earlier in a season, they may have won an additional title or 2 for Bobby Bowden. You know, you look at Tom Osborne and the number of times that Nebraska they were 4 times or multiple times undefeated, like in not getting in the mix. Joe Paterno even went undefeated 4 times, and Penn State didn't win a national title. Even with a 4-team playoff, how we would revisit who won the championship, I have always said would be interesting. But a 12-team playoff, that changes that dynamic altogether way different. I mean, we have had now, again, consecutive years where 8 versus 7 never would have been a thing. Ohio State and Notre Dame playing for the national championship. That would not have been what we would have been watching 2 years ago. And Miami last year, again, would have been eliminated in early November when they lost to SMU. That'd have been it. Instead, they're playing Indiana, who, you know, still would have been Indiana, and won the national championship. So what I did was I sat down and I looked at the top 12-ish, right, because you have to factor in group of 5. I did not go so far as to try to break down how we would have handled 5 power conferences, because, of course, the Pac-12 was still a thing. In most cases, that's sort of taken care of anyway. You would note, all right, there's a Pac-12 team in there. But that aside, right, I wasn't analyzing that. So I would put a group of 5 team in, like Western Michigan or Boise State, in their spot at 12 if they were ranked lower. So a lot of number 12 teams got pushed out. But what I found was fascinating because Dan Mullen's not wrong. The Gators would have made the playoff 3 consecutive years. 2020 was a little weird because That was the COVID season that we did play, but like Ohio State was 5-0. And they ended up, playing in the playoff that year, the 14 playoff. The Gators would have made it that year. Even though they had 3 losses, they would have made the playoff that year. They would have made the playoff 3 straight years. Again, not saying they would have advanced or they would have won or lost, but they would have been part of the party. Florida State would have made the playoff over the course of the last decade, and I'm going from before the 12 team. So I'm, not 20, what would we say, 25 or 24, so 23, and then that decade previous is my measurement, right? Florida State would have made the playoff 4 times, which is sort of interesting when you think post Jimbo that it wouldn't have been maybe as barren, and certainly we would not have had the argument we did when they did go undefeated with Mike Norvell, right? That would not have been a thing. They would have been in the playoff.
Yep.
Probably would have lost, but, they would have been in the playoff without their quarterback.
Yeah, they would have. Jordan Travis got hurt last game of the season.
Right, but they still would have been in. There would not even been a discussion because they would have earned their way in as ACC champions. UCF would have made the playoff twice, back-to-back years, undefeated. They would have been a group of 5 representative in the playoff those 2 years. Even Miami, for as down as Miami was, would have made the playoff the one time they lost their last couple of games of the season. In fact, they lost their last 3 because they lost their bowl game as well. So even Miami would have found their way into the playoff at one point back in 2017.
So can I ask you something about Dan Mullen's comments?
Yes.
Even though obviously we're never going to know because it wasn't a thing, should Dan Mullen have made the college football playoff while he was there the 3 years?
Yeah.
Does a one-and-done exit really make...
Well, that's the other thing, right? And that's where we're going into now to some degree, right? So I do think it changes the conversation for a lot of individuals, right? Because you go from maybe James Franklin as a really prominent example, right? They made it 2 years ago into the 12 team, and they won a couple of games. They got to the semifinal and lost the heartbreaker to Notre Dame, right? Now, the next year happened and got fired because they've completely, Wile E. Coyote off the edge of the cliff. Right, which is its own Penn State decision, right? That's their decision, not mine. But they would have been a playoff team many times previous to that. Now, if you lose one and done, at some point your fan base gets mad that you're not winning, right? And so, maybe we would have a different thought if some of Saban's teams, they were all great. It's hard to envision some of those Clemson but maybe they don't win, right? Now there's extra obstacles, more chances that you could lose, and maybe you do lose. But it does potentially harm you if you're getting there and losing, just like it does in every other sport if you lose in the playoffs repeatedly. But it also could help cover you if you were sort of on the fringe of making the 4-team playoff constantly and not getting there. And now all of a sudden you're getting into the playoff mix. It could protect your job as well, because for some fan bases, just being at the party, maybe winning a playoff game could be enough. So let me present the other look at this, right? Those are the state schools. Over the course of a decade, 49 different schools would have made the playoff. 49. I mean, that's the involvement we're talking about here moving forward is, as we've seen from one year to the next, pretty good turnover. There would have been multiple trips, and these are the ones that I think impact positively in a lot of cases. Multiple trips for Washington, Penn State, Ole Miss, Baylor, TCU, Kansas State, Wisconsin, Cincinnati, Houston, USC, and Utah. So you hear that out loud, and what I want you to hear is I never thought of most of those teams ever being in the national title mix. And now all of a sudden you would have been thinking of them differently over the course of that time because they would have been in the mix multiple times to get into the tournament, whether or not you pick them to win or you think they're going to. That's not really what we're talking about. I mean, again, we just saw 7, 8, and 10, 3 of 4, right? So before you dismiss it, that's what we just saw the last 2 years. 9 different group of 5 teams would have made it, including UCF, Houston multiple times, Cincinnati multiple times. And that's not to mention the Western Michigans, the Memphises, Coastal Carolinas, Tulanes, Boise States, etc. And then you also would have, this is one I just forgot and blacked out, Indiana would have made it. Indiana actually had a year they would have made it before all of the last 2 years where they made it. Iowa would have made it once. Colorado would have made it once, pre-Dion. Stanford would have made it. Mississippi State would have made it. Iowa State would have made it. Oklahoma State would have made it. And those were just a couple that I checked that it's like, wow, like you don't think if you're like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you're not even really thinking about it at any point if the team's not playing for a conference title and they're out of the mix, just like a couple of Mullins teams at Florida weren't like really in the mix, but they would have been in the mix.
Well, this kind of goes back to my point of we're just kind of inviting mediocrity
but it's
into
not
a playoff.
But I disagree with that. I totally disagree with those that say that because you can't tell me unless you are a spoiled brat Alabama, Ohio State fan, and I don't mean to label you that, but that's what you are when you expect to win a national title or at the whole season's a loss. And there's very few fan bases that actually fit into that bucket. Right? That like there's very few. Like 9-3 is a good year. 10-2 is a really good year. Those have been the teams we're associating with that you are, and you're not alone, right? I've heard others say this, and it aggravates me. That's not mediocre. And by the way, 8-4 gets you in the top 25. That also is not mediocre. You're one of the top 25 teams in America. I totally disagree with the idea that that's mediocre. I disagree with the idea that if a 2014 playoff would invite mediocrity, it would not. It would invite 8-win teams, which by most measurement are really good football teams that maybe lost 2 or 3 of those games against the teams that are in the top 10 or top 15 or top 20, right? It angers me when I hear because that to me reeks of like, oh, I'm just spoiled, and I think unless you're 11-1 or 12-0, you're not any good, and that's not true.
I'm okay with you being ranked inside. Again, we discussed rankings and polls and whether they have any merit. If you want to be ranked inside the top 25 because of how you've played during the season, you've earned that right. You've earned that spot. But are you really one of the best to make a playoff where the only reason that the playoff is expanded is because of money? We know that. But is it?
But yes, you're right. That's the number one reason they would do it. But again, I don't think you're including mediocrity. And it's hard for anyone that's a sports fan to say that with a straight face that openly accepts the NFL putting in sub 500 teams or 9-8 teams or 8-8 teams or 9-7 teams or the NBA putting in sub 500 teams in their playoffs or, Major League Baseball having teams hovering around 500 in their playoffs. Like we see that consistently across the board in other professional sports. We do. And in college basketball, you can win your college basketball postseason tournament, be a sub 500 team. We see that almost every season. There's a team at or below 500 that is a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. Now, that team's quickly dispatched. We're not thinking about them in national, but we still put them in the tournament.
Well, I would also argue that the 64-team tournament is probably a little bit too big.
Well, there's 330 teams, though. I don't think it's that big. I just don't. Mathematically speaking, it's not. It's giving true representation across the country for the chance that we have had in the last decade, twice 16 seeds pull upsets against 1 seeds. It's not winning the title, but it's certainly showing that you're worthy of being there. I just push back on the mediocre idea. It's not mediocre to go 9-3. It's a really good season. Might be disappointing, again, if you're Alabama or Ohio State or Michigan and you're coming off the Harbaugh years and you're bummed out that you're 9-3 now or 9-4. It may be a fireable offense at some places to do it repeatedly.
Yep.
But let's be real. It's not a bad season.
I didn't say it was a bad season.
Yeah, or a mediocre. To me, it's the same bucket. Mediocre's 500 to me, or below 500. That's what that word represents to me.
Different definitions of mediocre. It's fine.
Yeah. And Dan Mullen, his last year at Florida was not a good one, and that's where they decided to shift gears and change directions. But he's not wrong. First 3 years, they would have been a playoff team. And at least the first 2, they would have been an interesting playoff team. And we've seen it. I mean, we have proof of concept with the last 2 playoffs. That teams that stubbed their toe like Ohio State and like Miami were able to recover and get to play for a national championship after stubbing their toe late in the season. So I'm good with it. I'm good with wild card teams getting to the Super Bowl. Sometimes you just play in the wrong division or in the wrong conference and have to play on the road maybe against the team that, wins that conference, and it affects their outcome. All right, it is our week in review. In case you have missed any of the Beat Us Sports this week, we will recap it, give you our studs and duds of the week. That's next year on the Beat Us Sports.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CV's dad joke of the day.
That's so great.
So I'm pretty sure I've got a passing grade with you this week. I think I've made you at least smirk.
Yeah, we're
more
at least
times
bad.
than not.
We're mediocre, maybe. By your measure, we're definitely mediocre. We're batting about 500. So
I got to get above 500.
okay.
Tuck, how did the lumberjack know how many trees he cut that day?
Lumberjacks cutting trees. How many? I don't know.
He kept a log.
All right, I'll give it to you. That's not bad. That's not bad. Golf clap.
I think I ended the week on a good note.
Yeah, you did.
Missed anything during the week?
What?
We've got you covered.
Yeah! Here we go!
Let's take a look back at the week that was. It's the Beat of Sports Week in Review with Marc Daniels.
10 o'clock, WYGM Orlando, WJRR, HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9, The Game, AM 740, Orlando Sports Leader. Mike Tuck in for the vacationing Marc Daniels. Chris Vasquez here as well for our Week in Review.
Week in Review kicked things off here Monday. Mark did join the show, and Tarek Skubal was dealt over the weekend to the LA Dodgers, but Mark and you actually went back and forth and explained why Tarek Skubal is not actually the bad guy.
To me, I think the bad guy are other teams in Major League Baseball that don't operate with the win now mode. Other contending teams tend to make decisions long term where, for example, if the Brewers decided, I'm trying to win this season, or any other team, but I want to win this season. I'm not thinking about whether I'm going to be able to re-sign them or not. I'm trying to win because the World Series is priceless. I think a group of those teams always treat the trade deadline like that, where, I'm giving up and can I sign this guy versus can I rent somebody that I believe can win a World Series? So I think those teams are to blame. I think the economic structure of Major League Baseball is to blame. I don't blame the Dodgers for doing anything. I mean, the Dodgers, now I don't know what other offers the Tigers had. But I think sometimes it's other teams that just are like, yeah, but why would I just want to rent him and give up prospects? And my answer is because the World Series is priceless.
Right. Yeah, if you were coming to the Beat of Sports for Dodger hate this week, you were out of luck because it's not just me, which, by the way, I thought about this. Like, I talked more about the Dodgers this week than I think I ever have before on the air, right? That's how much, people are incensed about this. But Mark and I see this the same way. Like, I think if you're, a Brewers fan or a Yankees fan or a Red Sox fan, like there's a lot of fan base that should be upset that they were not aggressive, and the Dodgers continue to be more aggressive than everybody else.
And I still would like to know what offers were out there that the Tigers just said, nah, we like the Dodgers one best.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday, you and I had discussed a poll released by The Athletic. Not a poll, but they tiered their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And we got into an argument over whether Bo Nix was too high or too low on the list.
Bo Nix is 18. Rogers
That
is still
that is ridiculous.
Rogers is still that Bo Nix is that high or that low?
That low.
He's been really good the last few years. Well, who are you jumping him over? You jumping over Baker, Darnold, Lawrence, Hurts?
Both, yes.
Really?
Jaden Daniels, yes.
Wow, you would take Bo Nix over Jaden Daniels?
Give me Bo Nix over Caleb Williams. Give me Bo Nix over Jordan Love.
What?
What do you mean what?
Bo Nix.
What do you mean what?
That was like you just telling me you wash your hair with soap instead of
No,
shampoo.
No,
What?
it's not.
So Bo Nix is the top 10 quarterback for you, is what
Yes.
you just said. Wow.
Yes. How is he not?
How? Because I think Bo Nix needs the great coordinator. I think Bo Nix needs the weapons around him. I think he's athletically gifted, but I don't think he is. I'm not sure maybe he's better than Hurts. I'm not sure he's better than anyone in front of him.
You ready
Yeah.
to jump on my side yet?
Well, no, where I continued was that I would take Baker over him. I would take Trevor Lawrence over him. I would. I think if you flip those guys' situations, those guys function better with Peyton in Denver and that defense.
I think Bo Nix I will say he's in the perfect situation, but I think he could win just about anywhere he goes.
He can. Well, I don't know about that part. I thought you meant with the Broncos in tow, not actually in a different uniform.
Moving over to Wednesday, you and I continue to debate the necessity of polls, especially if they hold no merit on the college football season.
The college football coaches poll debuted yesterday. I joked earlier on the bridge, I can't wait for the AP poll to come out and have 24 of the exact same 25 teams. Nobody's ranked more than 2 or 3 spots away from where they're ranked in the other poll. It is such a copy and paste for the two polls. Now, I get it. There's so many people voting. Like, not everyone is in the group thing.
Do we even need to have these polls?
Yes.
Why?
1, we enjoy it. 2,
Do they have any sort of merit on the upcoming season?
they have none.
Okay, so then we don't need
But hear me out here. Hear me out. The AP and coaches poll don't mean anything at all, even during the year. Right? They mean nothing. The only poll that matters is the College Football Playoff Committee's poll.
So again, I ask why?
Because they've been doing it since way before our grandfathers were born, and they're going to keep doing it.
Don't need
Have
'em.
fun. Have
Don't need
some
'em.
fun.
Don't need them.
Week and a half. You and Mark can have the same discussion when the AP poll comes out.
And on Thursday, Saad Youssef of The Athletic joined the show, and you and him went back and forth on why there's such a pay discrepancy between running backs and other positions in the NFL.
Yeah, I think a lot of the hesitancy in the past with paying running backs isn't even necessarily with not understanding the importance, but it's really just a fear factor, right? I mean, this was included in the story that I wrote the other day, but Nick Chubb talked about this back in 2023, where he said that, the running back position is probably the only position where producing more hurts your value long term, because you look at a running back as they're losing tread on their tire. If a receiver puts up a huge season, you want to get him locked in for the quarterback. Same thing for pretty much every position on the field, except for running back. If you see him go for 2,000 yards, you think that's, tread off the tire, and that he's going to deteriorate faster. And so I think that's the problem that the NFL has kind of been dealing with the running back position.
Yeah, I think it's been a banner week for the running backs. If not for another story this week, I would say running backs would have been my studs of the week, because all of them got paid like studs this week, and deservedly so. And frankly, as well as Bijan's getting paid, and he's getting paid well, it's still bonkers that Zay Flowers is getting paid twice as much.
Yeah,
Hey, what does your hat say?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. But again, I think it does come down to the shelf life, because the fact that these guys are touching the ball much more than the receivers are. And Saad had talked about it. Helping out the quarterback, making the quarterback look good, helping those stats. I do think that plays a large part into it as well.
Yeah, again, not really a problem. I mean, Zay's making too much. The top shelf of wide receivers should be paid a lot. Those guys are really, really good too. And if it's positional value that nets them more, in the case of, honestly, where Jamar Chase and JSN, where it is twice as much as Bijan, well, I don't think that's fair. I understand it. Where I struggle is when you start paying the Rashad Batemans and the Darius Slaytons and the Jalen Nailors as much as Derrick Henry. Like, that's where I go, oh, wait, what are we doing?
Right. And that is the week in review.
Stud of the week.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. For me, no one's really talked about it. We don't really talk about Ironman streaks in baseball because no one's really coming close to anywhere in the top 10.
Yeah.
Except for one guy. That would be one Matt Olson, who just played in his 896th consecutive game. He moved up to 8th all time. I don't think he's going to catch anyone in the top 7. So he's at 896.
I say, you got me, dude. I'm good at trivia, but I don't have any idea who 7 on the all-time Ironman streak is.
That would be Joe Sewell from 1922 to 1930.
Who?
Yeah. We played in 1,103 games. Billy Williams
I missed him.
at number 6 at
I know Billy Williams.
1,117.
Okay.
And then Miguel Tejada,
Miggy.
1,152 games from 2000 to 2007.
Wow.
And then obviously no one's going to touch Cal Ripken.
Yeah.
No one's going to touch Cal Ripken.
No.
But the next closest to Matt Olson on the active list is Pete Alonso at 500, just a shade below 600.
Wow.
So
Okay.
kudos to Matt Olson, who's played in every single game he's appeared in with the Atlanta Braves.
Very good. So Atlanta, at least you have that for letting Freddie Freeman go to L.A. All the big bad Dodgers' fault. Matt Olson's good.
Yeah.
He's really good. And he's younger. Hits more home runs, but I'll take the ones Freddie's hitting in the postseason.
Yes.
My stud of the week, as I mentioned, I would have gone running backs until yesterday I heard Lewis Cobb on the mic in Philadelphia.
So welcome. Glad to have you here. Thank you, Scott. It's a thrill to be here. It's a lifelong dream to be in the Phillies broadcast booth. So here we go. Painter with the first pitch to Ortiz. It's in there for strike one call. Phils with 2 in the bottom of the second to take the lead. As we start the top of the third now, Painter delivers. It's bounced foul towards the Phillies dugout. And they count 1-1. Phillies winning the first 2 games of this series. 1 more to go tomorrow night, and then a 3-game set with the Blue Jays over the weekend. Now Painter delivers. It's a check swing It's a called strike 3. He got him. So Ortiz down.
And Lewis, you spent your life as a firefighter, police officer.
Neither of those things.
Just guessing.
I probably should have cut it off before that since we're doing studs.
Oh,
But that was
my
just too
gosh.
funny to cut out.
That is fun. And like they're different jobs too. It's like we just keep guessing. We'll see if we get it
and that's what
right.
he said. I'm just guessing.
Right. I have no idea. There's a substitute teacher, retired. He won at the Fantastic Auction. That's with a PH, Fantastic, Philly Fanatic, blah, 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 playing into that. A $22,000, $10 extra. I wonder if the $10 pushed him over the top. Bid to call an inning of Phillies baseball, and Lewis Cobb delivered in spades. Listen to the entire inning for your own enjoyment. Like, got the pipes, was ready to rock and roll out of the gate, just picked it up and went. Like, kudos to you, sir, for being ready when the moment called for it.
Yeah, he sounded great, and he's got that like iconic
Yeah,
old
my
school
God.
broadcasting voice.
If you just played that, you'd think, what team's he work for?
Yeah, no, he sounded great.
Stud of the week.
I wasn't sure if I should make them a stud or a dud, but Akron, the football team, letting someone call your first drive in your home opener of an actual football game. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah,
mean,
that fits the brand of bah humbug.
I understand, like, their season tickets have sold like crazy.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants an opportunity to call the opening drive. Do it in a spring game or something. An actual game? Like, if I'm Robert Morris,
We're
I'm
talking
like,
about practice?
if I'm
You want to call practice?
if I'm Robert Morris,
Not a
I'm like,
game,
what the
not a
hell?
game. We're talking about practice.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
No, you're completely wrong on that one.
What are we doing?
You're completely wrong on that one. My dud of the week is Steve Ballmer in the LA Clippers with the latest additional news that not just aspiration paying Kawhi Leonard under the table, but Pablo Torres tacked on Daktronics, who runs the digital scoreboard in the arena there in Los Angeles where the Clippers play their home games. Another under-the-table deal reportedly. I see enough smoke to know there is a fire burning it down right now. And Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be forced to sell your franchise. You are undermining the credibility of the league, of the sport in its entirety with your decision-making. That'll do it.
We can review in studs and duds.
Richard Hale will give his thoughts on a couple of stories in sports law, notably whether or not this judge in Denver has the right to bring kids back to school like she has done. That's next.
Time now for this week's Sports Law segment with Richard Hale.
It is Sports FM 96.9, the game AM 740. A happy football Friday to you. Mike Tuckin for the vacationing Marc Daniels. Richard Hale joins us on the line right now. Richard, I hope life is treating you well. How are you this morning?
Good, Mike. Good to talk to you again, buddy.
Good talking with you. So, On3, pretty big up-and-coming and present presence in college athletics for both the teams themselves that are playing that we like to cheer for, and in recruiting in particular, they do a good job of covering. They announced a partnership with Polymarket, and that certainly welcomes some scrutiny. So how do you view what is a potential gray area in their partnership here with a platform where we could see influence onto how some of these things end up as far as people are putting their money into?
Yeah, huge score for On3 here and partnering with a Polymarket. I would imagine that the financial details of the relationship are significant, and that's a huge win for them. But it couldn't be a worse look in terms of the optics of the relationship and where it causes such scrutiny to be paid. I mean, I don't think it's very hard for any of us to think about the implications of a high school athlete who may be a senior deciding between Texas and Texas A&M and where they're going to go to school, and there being the ability to put a Polymarket play down on the success of either one of those schools based on where that recruit may go, and then that recruit having the ability to bet on or against themselves going to a particular school or changing the odds for that particular school and then opting the other way to cash in the big prize. So, certainly I think On3 recognized that and came out with a subsequent statement to the announcement saying, look, we're not going to be betting on high school students. That's where it ends. These Polymarkets are only going to be available on, for college sports. But even that, I think in this day and time that we find ourselves in terms of the transfer portal and people's ability to move freely throughout the country and change schools and you take a big time transfer portal athlete that could change the college landscape by going from, say, a Michigan to a Clemson or something like that. Mm-hmm. And, his ability to bet on himself or bet on the team that he's going to, it certainly leaves a bad taste in the mouth of any true college sports fan who thinks that, the gambling industry has kind of not only ruined professional sports, but now is going to ruin amateur sports as well. So not a great look. I think that, certainly there's a financial deal that we're not privy to the terms of. I'm sure it was significant. But in terms of the optics of this, not a great look.
Yeah, especially when we're already going, like when LeBron chooses Philadelphia as a long shot on Polymarket, and we wonder about should anybody be partnering up with them. This one we talked about a little bit earlier in the week. In fact, Mark and I did on Monday. The Colorado judge who has now ruled for 5-for-5 eligibility and is sort of flooded those that were not in school that are now wanting to come back to school to play college football and college basketball. Why does this decision have to happen, and how does it affect the rest of the country? And a lot of programs, quite frankly, are in a hold position right now, not sure who's going to be eligible and not eligible this upcoming year.
Yeah, it does benefit some of those programs that kind of played a wait-and-see game because essentially, as you alluded to, this decision allows for students who entered college 2022-23 to now come back for a fifth year. So we've got, for example, there's a Clemson guard from last year who is going to come back for a fifth year, but is now choosing to do that at Arizona. Why? Because Arizona held open a roster spot. So the decision judge did come back, and I don't know if you and Mark talked about this earlier in the week, but the judge did come back and clarified the decision, saying this will not impact teams that have already filled a roster or teams that have already salary capped out. So as we know, there is now a certain allotment that teams can spend on particular players for a particular sport. And so that cap will not be extended as a result of this decision. But for those teams that did hold open a roster spot and potentially some NIL money for those particular athletes. This will benefit them, allowing students to move from one school to another and take advantage of an opportunity that prior to this decision they were not afforded. Keep in mind, we have seen similar decisions, but they were limited to a certain number of athletes. This decision really opens the floodgates to a number of athletes who now can come back and seek another year. For me, the interesting question from here is if you have a student who has already tried out for a professional organization, let's say they were on, a mini camp, and now they want to go back to college for a fifth year. They've already declared themselves to be a pro. Can they retain amateur status here? That's probably the next card that we'll see played out in this particular scenario.
Yeah, offering more gray areas, an area that has too many. And Texas Tech, one of those schools that did leave spots open. So this is potentially really good news for them. This one I missed. So this one I found to be fascinating as I read through it, because it does appear there potentially could be maybe a loophole. We all know baseball games. You've done so many of these stories over the years, Richard, where at a baseball game on your ticket, it says, you're responsible to look out for yourself. There are going to be balls hit into the stands, potentially bats thrown in the stands. And that's what happened here at Yankee Stadium. Jose Ramirez of the Guardians was up to bat, and the bat flew out of his hand, as we see sometimes. Not a pine tar on there, hard swing, and the ball flipped out of his hand, hit a woman in the head. And her story is interesting as well. I want you to dive into, but claiming brain damage and suing the Yankees for $10 million. Normally, I'd say, well, it doesn't sound like you have a case, but she might have a case or might not. There's some interesting backstory to this one. So what do you think?
Yeah, so in any potential lawsuit, you have to prove two things, right? You have to prove liability, meaning that somebody was responsible for your injuries, and then you have to prove damages, which is that you were physically somehow hurt or mentally injured as a result of someone else's negligence. What we have here is an interesting scenario because the particular area of the stands where she was struck was fenced or was netted, but there was a portion that was carved out, I'm imagining, for the potential viewing pleasure of those who were sitting in this area. And so whereas, normally a safety net would cover a broad area, there was I guess what we could argue is a design defect here, or maybe it was by design, that this particular area where she was seated wasn't netted. So we're still trying to get to the bottom of why that was the case. But then you turn and are they liable? Were they negligent in cutting out that specific portion? Certainly there's potential liability here on the ballpark itself. Now, the question becomes who owns the ballpark? Is it owned by the Yankees? Is it owned by a separate management company? And that would be your primary defendant. And so, are they liable because they cut a portion of the netting out to allow for maybe a better sight line or something like that? So there's some liability there. Liability on the team if they are actually the owners of that stadium and they're the ones that cut that particular section out. You could certainly see a cause of action against the Yankees themselves, and then damages. And then I think that's what you were speaking about.
Yeah.
This is an interesting story here because this lady claims that she has suffered headaches, she suffered memory loss, she's brain fog, a number of mental issues that came with her being hit in the head. But at the same time, she is appearing on national TV as a spokesperson for her particular company. She seems extremely intelligent in these presentations, and so certainly the jury is going to have the opportunity to assess whether or not she was quote unquote damaged as a result, and they will award a monetary amount based on how damaged they think she is. Obviously, we'll hear from her doctors. We'll hear from people that know her about her experience and what she's gone through. But when you look at her on TV, she certainly seems well put together and seems like she's handling things just fine. So, the jury's going to see all of that. And at the end of the day, we'll need to make a decision on how much, in terms of monetary compensation, she should be awarded based on her claim that these damages occurred as a result of the stadium's negligence. So two very distinct hills she'll have to climb, and she'd have to prove at a trial. It's an uphill battle, but that's why we have juries, and
Right.
we'll see how this one turns out.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster reading. It's like, oh, well, their Yankees going to be fine. Oh, maybe not. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe they are based on the end of this story here. So hope she's okay at the end of the day. But yeah, fascinating twist and turn. Can't wait to follow how that one turns itself out. Richard, as always, man, really appreciate the time and the thoughts this morning.
Great talking to you, Mike. Have a good weekend, bud.
Richard Hale in Jacobson for all of your legal advice. Mike O'Donnell hops on the program, talking a little college hoops with us next.
This is Step Back 3 with MOD.
Straightaway three, hits it.
Let's talk college hoops. Let's talk hoops with college basketball analyst Mike O'Donnell.
Beat of Sports on FM 96.9, The Game, AM 740, Orlando sports leader. Marc Daniels on vacation this week. He'll be back next week. Mike Tuck in for him, and we got our guy at MOD43, Mike O'Donnell, hopping on with us to talk a little college hoops. Mike, what's up, bud? How are you?
First of all, a couple things.
Yes, sir.
Number one, I feel like Mark's on vacation every other week. That's what it feels like.
Well, when you work basically for him for like September through May nonstop on the road, he's got to.
You're playing the company man right now, and you know what? I respect it. I respect it. Yeah.
No, and he is so sweet about it, really. Like, with his dear wife, is like he's away from her all the time, constantly on the road all the time. So it's like summertime. We gotta take some trips. We gotta treat her nicely. So I get it.
It's a tough battle. Like I do understand the travel thing, and anybody in Mark's position or anybody that, if you're not in sports broadcasting in any capacity, and you turn on the TV and you're like, oh, those guys have the greatest jobs in the world, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who really loves it will say it's incredible, but it is not an easy thing. Like if you, I don't have a desire to be on the road all the time. It's not like this thing to where like, oh my gosh, I got to get on the road. I love my wife and love my kids, and like I want to be around them all the time. And it's not easy. And Mark is, as much as I give Mark a hard time about stuff, like he's an unbelievable dad and an unbelievable husband.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not this easy thing. So I'm just kidding. That was a diatribe that you weren't expecting about talking.
Yeah,
talking about. But,
I mean, you can relate. How many weeks of the year are you on the road?
Oh man, I don't know the amount of, but from January, February, March, it's very tough.
Right.
I mean, I think I took 80 to 85 flights last year.
Oof.
And it's not over the span of 12 months. That's over the span of really 3.5 months.
Right.
And it's a monster. And the guy I do for CBS, the guy I do most of my games with, his name is Jordan Kent. He's an incredible guy.
Yeah.
He's a better father than me because he has 4 kids and I only have 2 kids. And
I don't think that's how it works, but okay.
That's what he told me. That's what he told me.
That's what he told you. I like that.
He is an amazing father. And he called some NCAA tournament games this past year. I mean, he's really good and a rising star at CBS. But we're not like we always talk about. We're not road. We call it road dogs. Like we're not road dogs. Like we're not looking to be on the road longer than we have to. And there are times where, there's a lot of people in the industry that think that we're nuts because we may go home for 8 hours. And like, just stay on the road. It's worse for the kids. It's harder on everybody. And I just really disagree with that. And I would rather put myself through more physical exertion and exhaustion for the ability to put my kids to bed, even just for a night, even if they're sad that I leave the next day. If I physically can, I'm going to.
Right.
And it's not easy. You can't always do it, and it's really hard. I mean, coming from Boise, Idaho, come home and you get home and you pick the kids up from school and you hang out with them for a little bit. Then you have dinner together as a family, and then you put the kids to bed. You make sure they're brushing their teeth and doing all this stuff and homework and everything. And Dad, you leaving tomorrow? Yes. Oh man, and you kind of go through that process, but that is better. I would rather see them for a couple hours than pushing it back 2 or 3 more days. Anyways, that was just it's not easy, but I make it harder on myself. But that's okay.
Absolutely worth it just for one hug, I would imagine.
100%.
So Mark and I talked about this on Monday a little bit. This U.S. District Court judge in Colorado. It feels like college athletics. I say it's like running a sack race, right? A 3-legged man race where everyone seems like they're trying to go the same direction, but it just ain't easy. Never it's easy. People are falling down and tripping over themselves, and that's what she kind of did. She threw a sack on what we thought was a movement in the right direction functionally, and now it feels like the floodgates have reopened, and there's a lot of guys that are going, hey, I want to play more. One, to play more. Who doesn't want to play more? Two, to make a little bit more coin, especially if you don't have professional basketball or football in the future. And there's a handful of guys. I mean, UCLA's backcourt as an example that are now like, hey, cool, we can go play college basketball this year. But some spots have been filled. Some spots haven't been filled. Some money's been allocated. Some hasn't. How do you evaluate? And there's a handful of guys out there, but like from your own lens, college hoops and the guys that might become available and how that could impact this upcoming year.
Oh my gosh! Wait, do you want me to give an emotional response?
Yes, please. No, emotional. Give it to me. Yeah.
No. I won't. I'm at a point now to where I actually don't think progress needs to be made, and I can just keep it simple. Like I don't think we need to be suing every single time for the chance to play one more season of college basketball. I don't fault anybody for doing it. I'm not angry about it, but I just don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give, you and I could sit here and go through all the bullet points on why I intellectually disagree with it. But I'm at a point now, like emotionally, I'm like, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. It's not needed. It's not like it's just helping the game. The flip side of the coin is, well, you're providing another opportunity for a student to go through college. Like I get it, but you had 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
You already played 4 games, and rules were put in place not to hurt you. Rules were put in place for the future. Anytime you put rules in place for the future, there's people who are going to be frustrated and upset that why weren't those rules applied to me? Anytime you sign up for a package on TV and then and you're like, oh, this is great, and then a year later the TV package is like, hey, for any new subscribers for the first 6 months, it's only going to be $8 a month. And you're like, wait a second.
Right.
Now, and that's just part of growth and progress. Where I don't necessarily agree with the fact that we just have to sue everybody, because it's not. Honestly, it's the language in the suits that bother me, Mike. And I'm not sitting here saying that I have any law degree. But we're talking about irreparable harm and damage.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you even talking about? What are you even saying? Irreparable harm and damage? No, just zero. You can go live your life. You don't have the right to play college basketball. You don't have the right to play college football. You can go do other stuff. You aren't forced to do any of this. It's almost as if so many of the suits are saying the only thing that I can do in this scenario is play college basketball, or I had nothing else in my life. That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just emphatically not true. And so it's an emotional response. And that's kind of where I'm at now, of where Mark and I have talked about this for years and years and years, and I've listened to all the angles and everything. And I'm like, okay, if you're suing to play more, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to be angry about it if you win your suit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disparage you if you win your suit. I'm not going to do any of that. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah. No, it's sometimes just your lot in life when you were born. I mean, is it fair that NBA players, like in some cases, just average guys are making twice as much as Michael Jordan ever made? No, but like that's the way it works, man. Like, and you're robbing from the young guys too. I mean, potentially displacing freshmen and the impact on high school recruiting. Like, there's a lot of fallout.
Also, there's so much. There's so many layers to this, because I can go to the flip side of that conversation of what you just said, Mike. I can be like, well, coaches, you don't have to recruit these guys. You don't have to recruit them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that. Now, coaches are going to say, well, there's going to be some coaches like, no, you don't understand the industry. No, I understand the industry. I do. I understand the industry better than most people. But you don't have to you don't have to say, we have to get this fifth-year senior,
mm-hmm.
which, by the way, most of these fifth-year seniors are not these elite guys. Like, there's some good ball players, but
Sure.
The majority of them are not like all-conference guys. You don't have to recruit this guy and say, we have to get this fifth-year senior because he has all of this experience, and we're going to say, hey, freshman, the guy that you committed us that we recruited, sorry, no, you're gone. I don't agree with that philosophy. That's a win at all costs philosophy that I don't agree with. that some fans may want and may agree with. Well, I do believe in verbal commitments. When you say you're going to do something, you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you think I'm from the 1920s. Doesn't like I still believe in that stuff, and I think that if we can inch towards back that, the fan experience is actually going to be better. It's going to increase, and the fans are going to start to have more of a relationship with the players when we start honoring verbal commitments. But it goes both sides. It also goes from a coach's perspective too.
Yeah, I'll leave you on a bit of a happy note as we look ahead to the college basketball season. And what I just wrap my arms around and love is all the non-conference heavyweight contenders take on all comers. Like, you just want to test your team out before March Madness. And when you look at, like, Duke's going to Gainesville to play the Gators, and Duke's also playing Illinois, and UConn's playing Michigan, and just they're playing each other. It's so cool. I love it. So what are the non-conference games that have you hyped for 3 months from now?
Oh my gosh! Well, first of all, you just said one. Duke, Florida is going to be incredible, right?
It was actually last year in Durham. Great game.
Well, no. So yes, my apologies. So tell me. So I'm actually a little behind on that. You got to give me a couple of games that you're looking at, and I'll tell you. Oh, actually, never mind. I'm sorry. I don't know why I just paused. I was thinking
Michigan's playing UConn. I mean, Texas, Louisville, Tennessee, Michigan State. I mean,
actually, the game that I'm looking forward to the most is I'm really curious on how Houston plays this season, because they essentially have kind of like almost a completely new roster.
Yeah,
and they have quite a few games coming up on the schedule. And I mean, obviously, there's one that's like LSU, and there's Florida State. But the one, where was it? I lost.
So they're in Players Area, the Players Era tournament. I mean, Auburn, Florida, Kansas, Notre Dame are some of the teams that are in that event by itself.
Yes. But I'm actually more interested in the Houston Florida State game, because I actually think Florida State is going to end up being the surprise team in the ACC, and I'm very curious to see how Houston plays. That's not like an overly exciting game for most people. I'm more of an interest in, I think Florida State's going to outdraw expectations, and then Houston is also at the same time, I think, is going to be, everybody's got them flying under the radar again, because that's what we do with Houston. I'm really, really excited for that game.
Yeah. In Florida's obviously the co-title favorite with Duke right now, so we talk a lot about the Gators, but both the Canes and the Noles are going to be very good teams this upcoming season.
Miami just had an injury to one of their better players,
right?
Which is certainly disappointing. Jay Lucas is doing a great job. I think Luke Laux at Florida State was in conversation to be ACC Coach of the Year. In conversation, he's not saying he got it, but that's going to be a much improved roster, and I think Florida State could end up being as good as Miami this season.
I like it. That'd make for a fun season. Mike, it's always a pleasure. Enjoy your time at home before the travel schedule hits for you. Mark will be back next week to chat it up with you.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Mike O'Donnell, always a fun conversation with @MOD43. Nobody loves college hoops as much as Mike O'Donnell. Back with the news next.
Let's really do the news.
Yes.
Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
It is 11 o'clock, WYGM Orlando, WJRR, HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, Orlando's sports leader. Mike Tuck in for Marc Daniels, Chris Vasquez alongside as well. And it's time for the news. Last night, the NFL preseason kicked off with the Hall of Fame game. You got to see the future Hall of Famers on that broadcast, including Larry Fitzgerald and Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, making their presence felt. And you also got to see a couple of rookie quarterbacks put on a show last night, frankly, in what was kind of an exciting game that saw Carson Beck, the former Miami Hurricanes and Georgia Bulldogs quarterback, start for Arizona. Played very well, 15 out of 19, 188 yards, and a touchdown pass that was on the money in the corner of the end zone. He relinquished the reins to Keaton Slovis, who took over and also played well in relief of him. And Haynes King, the star on the other side, in relief of Kenny Pickett, led Carolina down the field and ran it in on a quarterback scramble as time expired for Carolina to win 33-30 over Arizona. A fun, fantastic start to the NFL preseason.
It was very exciting.
It was.
It was very exciting.
I mean, Tirico joked, like, greatest Hall of Fame game ever. And he's not wrong, probably. It's got to be in the discussion.
I would probably agree with that.
I mean, you have to go back to probably a point where maybe starters were actually playing in one of the games and maybe there was something more exciting. But, yeah, in our probably limited memory of Hall of Fame games, it was definitely one of the better ones.
Do you attribute it more to just guys, first game getting their legs wet or getting their feet wet and getting their legs under them? Or
you mixed up cliches there.
I
That was fun, though.
Getting their feet wet and their legs under them, or
and their head in the clouds.
Or are these guys actually, maybe we'll see some of them on an NFL roster?
I don't attribute it to anything. It's luck of the draw.
Fair enough.
The next preseason game could be a 10-3 snoozer, and the one after that could be a shootout. Like, it doesn't. I mean, does it mean the defenses are horrible?
Not much to take away from the game.
There's not really a takeaway except for,
Football's back.
Carson Beck looked the part, and maybe, we'll see him play at some point this year and not just be a backup quarterback for the entirety of the season. And Haynes King, maybe he's going to make Carolina's team, as he looked like a gamer last night and looked like, the guy at Georgia Tech that is able to just make plays.
Hell, we might see Carson Beck overtake Gardner Minshew for that number 2 role.
I won't be surprised
Arizona.
at all if he does. I won't be surprised at all if he plays like that each week.
Yeah.
Then it would be stunning if he doesn't.
We were talking off air during the bridge about the injury he suffered at Georgia and his arm strength and everything. That's going to play a role in his career, is it not?
Yeah, but I think that's why he was a 3rd-round pick and not maybe a late 1st-round pick. I really do. Like, you watched him early at Georgia. He had a rope. Like, you were like, because remember that first year at Georgia that he played, he was really good and then kind of had a fall off the second year where he got hurt in the SEC championship game with his arm, very Brock Purdy-like injury. But Purdy moves around, right? That's how Purdy's been able to compensate for maybe a limited arm is his movement, and that's not Carson Beck. It's a shame. If it isn't back by now, and it's not like it was bad at Miami, it just wasn't what it was earlier in his life before the injury. So,
right.
Yeah, good for him, though. He played well last night. And I guess if you're a Cardinals fan, it's good, right? Especially if people were making fun of the Cardinals because of some ugly practice footage and stuff like that. They'll be fine. They got a lot of offensive weapons. I'm sure they'll score some points this year, even with Jacoby Brissett. And they'll win some games. They won't win 0. We talked about them not being favored in a game this year. They're going to win some games.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. Not many, but they'll win some. You got something else there? You look like you're going to say something, so I paused.
I'm still thinking that they're probably going to be one of the worst teams. I still expect them to take a quarterback high next year.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's not going to prevent them from doing that. Carson Beck would have to play really, really well. I mean, it's the same thing with Miami. Malik Willis would have to play really, really well, probably, to convince them otherwise, if they're in position to do so. And the Jets clearly, Geno's not the answer long term. I don't think Cade Klubnik is either. Maybe Cade Klubnik will play like Carson Beck, and the Jets at some point will have to consider that as well.
Yep.
Jahmyr Gibbs got paid yesterday. This was later in the day yesterday. Becoming the highest paid running back in NFL history. We said earlier in the week, it's only a matter of time once Bijan got paid that Gibbs was going to follow, and he got $500,000 more guaranteed for his hard work in outweighting his fellow draft mate of a few years ago. He was drafted lower, not much lower, but a little lower in the first round, and got paid a little bit more. Aaron Donald, wow, he looked outstanding in his workout. I was a little surprised. I wasn't sure. McVay called it one of the greatest workouts ever. Well, when you have a future Hall of Famer working out, it might look that way.
I don't think he's taking any time off from working out.
No, I don't either, dude. Like, dude is yoked, man. And what's like, I'm thinking at this point, like, it's like no decision imminent. It's like, he's suddenly become LeBron here, though. Like, I think we're all assuming he's going to. Wouldn't it be a shock if he doesn't? But he's not committing to it yet.
I think it will. Again, I don't think he's not gonna sign at all during preseason. He might wait till maybe a few games into the regular season. I don't know.
I'd be surprised by that. I mean, the Rams are being very like very cautious, not wanting to overstep. It seems like with
I don't
this
know
whole
why
process.
it matters. It's not like they're bidding against anyone for his
Right.
services.
And I don't know why he doesn't just commit. If he wants to do it, do it. I mean, what are you waiting for? I'm pretty sure the Rams aren't going to make you practice yet if you don't want to practice yet.
Well, and to me, that says he just doesn't have that fire to come back.
Maybe he's still weighing it. You might be right. Maybe he's not as committed as the rest of us are to the idea of him coming back. The Kawhi Leonard story, we talked a little bit on the bridge. So Pablo Torre is at it again with his scoop reporting, and credit to him, really. Now reporting not in addition to the aspiration money under the table, according to his sources, that now Daktronics is another company that allegedly has paid Kawhi Leonard through the Clippers under the table for his services. The NBA will be investigating this until 2029-ish, sort of, maybe, kind of. It's embarrassing. It's a terrible look for the league, as I've said. Terrible look for the league.
Kawhi Leonard was that quiet guy who just, great defense. He was in Finals MVP. Goes to Toronto, leads them to an NBA title, and now since he's been on LA, he's not even talking, and it's like, God, you hate the guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, I probably have more vitriol toward Ballmer and the Clippers with all of this, but you're right. I mean, Kawhi plays a hand in it. He's willing to be a part of this unseemly relationship, which is what it is. And I said earlier, I don't have to go over that point again, but like, it makes me question every deal in the NBA, frankly. Who's to say, like, why would we think that it's only Ballmer and the Clippers? Why wouldn't we think that every other NBA free agent that's ever made a decision, especially important ones, that they aren't getting money under the table? And like, who is to stop any owner that wants to circumvent the apron, as KV brought up, and trying to avoid paying extra money into the system? Well, why would you want to do that?
Well, let's be honest. It's not just the NBA. I'm sure you could look at the NFL, Major League Baseball. You can look at any sport, college football, college sports. You can look at any sport. These guys are getting paid some way, especially if they take a pay cut.
Right.
They're getting paid.
And I didn't want to dive into that direction with Richard when we had Richard Hale on, when we talked about the idea of like guys coming back because of the judge's ruling in Denver. And he was like, yeah, there are caps in place, and you may not be able to. It's like they'll fit it if they want to. They forget about like what the letter of the law says when it comes to the cap that's in place in college athletics. They will circumvent that in a heartbeat. If you think anyone's abiding by that, like, you got to be kidding me. They all want the rules. None of them want to follow the rules.
We got another former college football player suing for more eligibility.
Who's that?
That'd be Florida State quarterback Tommy Castellanos.
Okay.
He's seeking an injunction for a 5th year.
Where is Tommy at right now?
Well, he did enter the NFL draft, I believe.
I know he wasn't drafted. I don't know where Tommy is right now. I guess I can look up his name. He's might be somewhere in somebody's camp.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, you might not be wrong. I'm just kind of curious. I mean, there's a lot of people in camps right now. The rosters are at 90. Does anybody have him? Anybody?
I don't think he'd be able to go back to.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. By again, the rules. Like, he attended Titans minicamp in April.
Okay.
I have no idea. That's what it says in April, though. So I don't know if he's even with them now.
So the fact that he attended a camp automatic. The fact that he entered the NFL draft should make him ineligible to go back for another year of college.
In theory.
What are we doing?
We're
What are
playing
we doing?
We're playing very loosey-goosey with a lot of these rules.
Why do we even
And
have
also
them? Why
because
do we even have
in fairness to the athletes, and I'm not arguing on their behalf here, like, because I do feel kind of the way that Mike O'Donnell underlined. It's like, all right, you had your turn. I get it. That rules sometimes come in and interrupt what you would like to have happen. And I'm sure all those guys that would like to get paid and play a sport for another year and add to their bank account, not setting them up for life, but certainly putting them in good position to do whatever they want to do in their lives, want to come back and do it. But like, to have this come in after you've already made decisions because you thought you had to leave, whether it was to try to make the NBA or play overseas or leave, like, it does suck. It's like, well, if I know that, I wouldn't have even tried out. I would have stuck around. So it's, like I said,
but it had to start at
two
some
steps
point.
forward, one step back. It's just the dance that we do in college sports.
But again, it's like, why do we even have rules in place? If all we need to do is find a judge to give us a favorable ruling, and then bam.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That will do it for the news.
You're missing one other thing.
What did I miss?
Lee Corso, man.
Oh, I was going to say that later.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah, now you said it. Now we got it. Scooter, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Love you, Lee. If you are listening, I know Lee listens from his home in Lake Mary.
Happy
we
birthday.
miss you, buddy. Happy birthday.
91. Happy birthday, Lee Corso.
Lee Corso. Yeah, I was going to do that later. I didn't forget. I just wasn't going to include it in the news.
Sorry. That's why I'm the producer.
It's going to be different, right? We had him last year at the beginning of the season saying his farewells. And yeah, game day will be different forever without him. But he definitely helped launch what is one of the more popular programs in our sports lexicon.
And I hope they never do a headgear again. That was
his thing. That was his thing.
You can't bring it back.
Yeah, McAfee does his own, and that's fine. McAfee does his own shtick when he does it. And the field goal kicking thing is great. Yeah. That's entertaining. I always like seeing kids blasted into other college students by accident. And then occasionally one, launches it through the uprights. It's like, all right, well, cool. We found somebody who can kick it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, is that good now? Anyone else's birthday you want to wish? I know Kravitz's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Kravitz. Anyone else want to run down?
No, I'm good.
My son's birthday's in like 3 weeks.
Actually, my wife's birthday's in about 3 weeks as well.
There you go. What day's your wife's birthday?
30th.
Okay, 24th for my son.
Well, happy early birthday to both.
Right, there you go. There you go. That'll do it. Cam Miller, sorry we make you wait an extra couple of minutes. We had to wish all our happy birthdays, Cam. We'll talk college football with Cam Miller next. BOS Sports, FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, Orlando sports leader. Marc Daniels on vacation this week. Cam Mellor was meeting his kids' teachers yesterday, as was I, by the way, but I got to do mine in the afternoon. Cam, how did that go for you? I got no audio on Cam. I see his lips moving.
We're going to have to work on getting Cam here.
We got to get some audio for you, Cam. I don't know. Something's not working here. Oh, there we go. A little bit. There we go. Say again.
Yeah. Family preview 11 a.m. So we're still reeling. We're all back. Called it preview 11 a.m. Good teachers, good feeling for the first week of school. Hopefully next week.
What grades?
Kindergarten, and second.
Oh,
so first
okay.
We're gonna have the house fully empty all day long with full day school. We're excited to get a lot of work done, but also relish in the quiet.
Wow, yeah, we're pretty similar. I got VPK for the little one, so like that, the house will be now empty during the day. Fifth grade for the older one, so the older one's not looking forward to watching out for the little one at school, though.
See, mine are excited to walk in together. Previously,
the little one's super excited.
They're walking now. They're very excited to walk in together.
That's great.
Excited to be the big sister. So
there you go. I love that. That's great. That's awesome. Top 25 this week. The coaches poll. We'll get the AP poll here in a couple of weeks. Ohio State was number one. Maybe not surprised as much that they were number one, but pretty comfortably number one with 38 first place votes. What's your take on that?
I think they got it right. I mean, if you look at what the best team is, what the roster looks like, I mean, I'm firmly entrenched in the standpoint that we don't know what these teams will look like, but so you have to look at it on paper. So like a strength of schedule is very biased to what we think will be a good team this year. But in college football nowadays, it's much easier, I think, to look at a roster and say, hey, these teams filled their voids. They picked where they needed to go in the portal and they replenished what they did. It's free agency essentially. So we can actually have a better reading, I think, nowadays of what teams will be good. And it looks like on paper, at least, I mean, the best player in college football is Jeremiah Smith, an experienced quarterback in Julian Sayin, and a lot of help in the trenches and at the other skill positions and on defense as well. So I think Ohio State is by far away the best team in football, at least on paper, to start the year. So they got it right.
Well, what was fascinating was that the second most first place votes went to Indiana, but they were sixth in the polls, which tells me that there's some folks that are wanting to reward and or respect Indiana and others that had them pushed down into the teens, which is sort of interesting.
It's telling me you didn't watch Josh Hoover play football at his best without telling me you didn't watch Josh Hoover play football at his best. And I mean, if we're looking at Josh Hoover, who at his best was better than even Curtis Rourke was at his best, than even Fernando Mendoza was at his best. And if Kurt Cignetti's been able to unlock Mendoza and Curtis Rourke and even go back to Todd Centeio and what he did at JMU, this is a lot to like with a Josh Hoover with a quarterback like that in that Indiana offense. So to me, I think those voters that watched and voted for him or voted for Indiana to be at the top, or at least in the top one or two, they know who Josh Hoover is and they have full trust in Cignetti. The others just don't know what they're doing, I guess. But no, it's kind of warranted, but I definitely have them a little bit higher.
The line for the college football playoff certainly gets moved back and even outside the top 25 based on recent history. I'm wondering where you would draw the line on the rankings as they sit right now with where the national championship contenders, where you would draw that line.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know we allow more teams in so chaos can happen and calamity can ensue this year. I think this season, though, you probably have to draw the line a little bit more shallow, a little bit less of a field in terms of teams that can make it. And I think you look at it's probably that quarterback. It's the arms race. It's the most important position in team sports for a reason. So I thought I'd probably draw it right at Washington at 19. And that's even if all things go to plan for a team. I mean, look at it, and I probably wouldn't even throw Tennessee in there. So I'd have to probably pick out a couple of teams that hit that 14 to 18 mark, but I'd throw Washington in there just with DeMond Williams, with the quarterbacks. It's the experience and it's the skill players, but it's the depth that these teams have put up and brought in the portal and with their recruiting classes. I think it's a little bit different than old.
That's a pretty generous answer, actually, I think. Cam Mellor joining us here on the BOS Sports Mike Tuckin for Marc Daniels on this Friday. Normally you hear Cam on Thursday, but we gave him a pass for yesterday, so he's here filling in on us today. And we appreciate that because we love catching up on college football. I'll ask what I think you are designed and supposed to ask in these cases where we see any kind of ranking come out. Which team caught you off guard with how highly they were ranked?
Michigan. I know it's Michigan football, a blue blood, and they're getting the benefit of the doubt, but with what they did last year or didn't do last year, and with Kyle Whittingham semi-retired coming up, doing what I know he brought some good players over, and I love John Henry Daly on the edge, and I love Smith Snowden, but unless we see something else from Bryce Underwood, this is a team that's going to win 9 games and struggle to win or compete in some of these other Big Ten games that they should usually win. And so unless we see something otherwise, this Michigan team has not been given the benefit of the doubt or shouldn't have been given the benefit of the doubt. And then, of course, Iowa always just sitting there at 21-22. It's just a tale as old as time. Do they deserve it? No. But will we give it to Kirk Ferentz? Sure, why not? But yeah, no, those two Big Ten teams to me.
All right, Iowa's catching some strays. I didn't see that coming. How about the of course the opposite end of that is, and I'll put it this way. We'll get to not top 25 here in a second, but teams that aren't in the top 12 that you think have a really good chance to be a playoff team.
I think it's that Washington team, and then I would go as USC. So it's sort of not a cop out. It's their USC was 14th and Washington 25th. So Washington 19th. USC though with Jaden Maivia. I mean, the way that he put forth what he did last year, it was consistent, it was solid, it was well above average. They just didn't have the right components on defense. It feels like that what they've done is they put a little bit of more emphasis in that this offseason as well. And I mean, we know that this team's going to be awesome at quarterback with him. And so he deserves to me to give them that benefit of that Michigan is getting right now, I think, for USC. So probably a playoff team there. And then same thing, Damon Williams with Washington. I think that's a team that can win a lot of games and score more points at least than every team that they play, maybe except for Oregon. So.
All right, so no group of 5 teams are ranked in the top 25, so we know we're already going to be wrong there. One of them is going to be in the playoff. So what's the group of 5 team that got disrespected the most here?
Boise State. I think it's probably the only team that probably warrants where you're at. Maybe a UNLV just because you've got Dan Mullen, you've got some pieces coming back, but it's that Boise State team that just seems to embrace the blue collar attitude that they know what they're doing. They keep and they can retain some of their stars. They don't lose a lot, it feels like, to the portal in this era where every G5 team that is good loses everybody. It feels like Boise State should have been given at least that. I mean, I believe they're the top team that's not in the top 25 from the G5, but feels like they're that team that should be the G5 rep at this point. I know we'll talk G5 representatives and whether that's the real correct terminology for them, but yeah, no, Boise State and then maybe a UNLV. So,
okay. And so it feels like it's likely, just based on, precedent and history. I mean, 14 of the top 25 didn't finish there last year, 25 the year before. So there's been a lot wrong with these preseason polls, even though we probably should be more right, to your point, with knowing the rosters better with veterans coming in like free agency. So who's the team that's not in the top 25 from a Power 4 that you think has a really good chance to be a playoff team?
Virginia. It's what they were able to, like, it feels like they caught steam last
old
year
team.
at the end. It feels like this was a team that knows how to understand it felt like we were on the hot seat as well. And then now all of a sudden it feels like this is a team that sort of made the right turn. I like getting Bo Prabula as well as not a guy that's going to maybe make the team better, but he's going to keep the team on schedule. And I think that's what they needed last year. There were times in which they were world beaters and double overtime against FSU that sort of turned FSU season around and Virginia season around and the opposite directions. And I think the offensive line is incredibly talented, not getting the benefit out. And then their secondary is going to be able to keep teams in the ACC for at least scoring points, it feels like. So I think Virginia is that sneaky team that maybe even a little bit better than Louisville, maybe even up there with the Clemsons right now at like 2 or 3 overall in the ACC.
Okay, and I'll leave you with an NFL question to go. Carson Beck, Haynes King, both starred last night for their respective teams.
I mean, the ACC is a QB conference. Let's face it. There's no 2 ways around it. On pleasantly surprised.
And Keaton Slovis too, for the record. I mean, yeah, another ACC guy. I mean, he bounced around a little bit, but if we claim Pitt, then we're good.
Right, we can attribute numerous conferences to
right
Slovis there. But yeah, no, it's called him a Pitt QB. No, it was. I mean, it takes merit into what you saw with Carson Beck when, the chips are down. There was times that he was actually going to be, was a potential first-round quarterback, even a floated to first round or first overall type of kid. So good for him, happy for him, but also love Haynes King and love what he's able to do.
So who's the guy I was going to ask that you are, as a rookie, and it might be a first-round guy, might be a guy that, you're just curious if he'll make a team and have an impact in the preseason. Who's the one you're interested in?
It's the quarterbacks, but if I want to see I'm such a sucker for offensive line. And so, like, I want to see where Caden Proctor slots in for the Miami Dolphins at a first round pick, where he was as highly thought of as a recruit as he was, bounced around, obviously, his college career, not quite maybe coming to fruition, so to speak, with what he did, but then moving into guard maybe. And so, where's he going to fit? How does he look? What happens? Is it a perennial all pro type of guy on the inside? Is that where he's going to fit? So, I'm watching him when he matches up against some of these bigger and faster defensive linemen.
Count me as well as a Dolphins fan.
There you go.
Fingers crossed. I hope it works out because, if Nick Saban wasn't the biggest fan, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but they're all in.
I do know he's had some hits and misses, old Nick Saban. One of those hits is Malik Benson, so I'll go as well. Malik Benson. It just took some time for Malik Benson to figure out where he was. So I think that's sort of one of your late round receivers that should probably pop, make a wide receiver 5 spot, and then eventually work his way up the depth chart.
Good stuff as always, Cam. I appreciate the conversation this morning, and look forward to the school year and the empty house starting next week.
It's the quiet will take some getting used to, I'm sure, but it'll be a lot of fun. We'll get some stuff done.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Cam Miller, normally a Thursday guest, but happy to have him on here on Friday. Beat of Sports continues on next.
Welcome back to the Beat of Sports. Filling in for Marc Daniels, here's Mike Tuck.
Beat of Sports on this Football Friday. Chris Vasquez here with me, Mike Tuck. Thank you for listening all week long. Jeff Passan put up an interesting story at ESPN.com, the Baseball Insider, in regards to inside the Skubal trade negotiations, why the Tigers chose the Dodgers. I think the notes, the most important ones for those that wonder about how we ended up with the Dodgers actually winning this thing when, again, anyone could have been in on this. George Kirby played a significant role, he said, because the Mariners didn't end up trade him. They traded Castillo, but because they dangled Kirby, it sort of left a carrot for a lot of other teams for team control over an elite level starting pitcher, not Skubal, but a guy that you actually would be able to keep. And so they were reluctant to give better offers to the Tigers, was one of his notes in there. He also said that it was more of a blind bid and that the Tigers were accepting bids and that some teams just didn't have the highest level of a prospect like the Cubs to really gauge their interest, that other teams like the Rays weren't. Theo Gillen's their top guy, which I've looked up earlier this week to make sure of. They weren't willing to include him. George Lombard wasn't being included by the Yankees, so that hurt their chances. The Braves didn't have the top guy. They have other guys that kept them in the conversation, according to Passan. And the Brewers basically just crossed off all their top guys. The Brewers didn't want to part with not just Mate, they're the number one overall prospect in baseball. They crossed off a lot of their top guys, which took them out of the conversation basically altogether, because they like the control over like Lara and Pratt, who are up with the big club right now. So it kind of knocked them off the conversation. And it's, again, sort of fascinating, too, from the Tigers' perspective, because they're a game back of the wild card right now. And if you look outside of the month of May, the Tigers have the best record in the American League. They had a terrible month of May. Skubal went down with an injury. You almost wonder if Skubal didn't hurt his elbow, if the Tigers would have been winning their division at this point, potentially, based on how well they played outside of the month of May, and therefore maybe not would have been inclined to make a trade of Skubal, and instead might have even added to their current roster, because the other thing they did do to keep hope alive is they didn't trade any of the other impending free agents. Glebner Torres is still there. Jack Flaherty is still there. Kenley Jansen, their closer, is still there. So they have kept themselves in contention without maybe taking themselves out of World Series contention. So that's an interesting note to pass along to you based on Jeff Passan there. Kurt joins us now for Maxine's on Shine. Kurt, come rain or sunshine, and there's been a lot of rain. We're happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, good sir. Yes, there has been a lot of rain, but hey, I'll take that, brother. I mean, it's outdoor air conditioning. There's something kind of crazy this year. I mean, we've had intense heat, but man, that rain that's been coming down, man, makes
you haven't had to build a dock, have you?
Oh, well, thank you kindly for asking that. Out on our deck, fortunately with the good covering and drainage that we have. But, man, I will tell you this, the beginning of the season when it started pouring down, man, the streets out front flooding, coming up over the sidewalks and everything. And then Mother Nature started doing her thing, started accepting the water. So you won't require a rowboat or a canoe to walk the street corner to get to our restaurant. I assure you on that.
Excellent.
Yes. So
good to hear.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, man. I said it's football Friday. We got football season there. And it's not quite fall weather yet, but I know you guys are ready for the fall at Maxine's.
We absolutely are, my friend. And yes, and it was beautiful, as I was just talking with Chris a little bit. My hometown of Canton, Ohio, hosting the Hall of Fame game last night. And football is in the air and an exciting time, and even as I was telling him, I didn't really get to catch much of the game, but just the spirit that it's back.
Mm-hmm.
It's back. It just feels great. And with that being said, of course, I do want to put out there real quick, and I have enjoyed catching your fantasy football tips this past week.
Happy to help.
I've been catching a little bit of that. Yes, indeed. For any of those guys, you league managers or commissioners out there that are still looking for a home to have your draft party, please consider Maxine's on Shine. I've got great Wi-Fi all over the place. And hey, commish, you come in, you bring your team of 10, your meal's on me. How's that? That's a deal.
Love
right
it.
there. You come in, you get the guys coming in draft. The meal is on me for the commissioner on that. So we got lots of openings. I know you guys like to do those things on nights and Saturdays and Sundays. We often the league that Mark's in with me, we draft on a Saturday morning there. So it's a great time to come out and have a little brunch, Bloody Mary, chicken and waffles, spread you out on a nice table, give you a couple of chairs per person so you got room to do your game planning and all that kind of stuff. And, make sure the guy beside you that's trying to steal your next draft pick, you got a chair between you and him, that kind of thing. So
that's cool, though. I mean, you can indulge in some delicious food, even if your team has no chance this year because you didn't prep and get ready to go for your fantasy draft.
Precisely. At least you'll walk out feeling good. You'll get
you'll be full, right? Yeah.
Even though you'll probably be you're begging for bits from the table side for the guys that are leading the pack. But hey, everybody, you're right now. You're 100% on. You haven't lost a game yet. You're looking for that championship. The dream is still alive, my brothers and sisters. The dream is alive.
I love it. I love it. So, what do we got cooking at Maxine's right now?
Well, right now, Mike, so this is tonight and tomorrow night are the last 2 nights of Sip and Savor. If you haven't had a chance to go out and enjoy that, everybody, Sip and Savor is the 3-course price fix meal that's going on in your Main Street district. So what I do over in the Mills 50 in Thornton Park area may be a little bit different than what they do over in, say, the Milk District or in Soto or Audubon Park. So each Main Street program or each district has something specifically going on. In our case, we're doing our 3-course price fix meal for $38 a person. Tonight, tomorrow night's the last night. We've had a lot of great response. Thank you to everybody that came out for Bite 30 and for Sip and Savor this part. We've got on there, we've got our Wagyu filet of sirloin. Man, that's been a rock star for us across the board. The opening acts, people have really been going crazy over our conch chowder. Oh man, you talk about a delicious soup made for summertime. Man, you're hearing the ocean breeze a blowing. Well, maybe that's the rain clouds rolling in off the neighboring areas. But man, you're gonna be feeling absolutely beautiful, having a little of that conch chowder going on. Maybe do our fried green tomato crab cake combo with that before you lead into that steak, or maybe the fresh catch of the day. Absolutely beautiful menu. I promise y'all it's going to be the very best in town. And you've only got tonight and tomorrow night for Sip and Savor. Just a quick reminder for dining for tomorrow evening, it will be dining on our outdoor patio. We do have a wedding reception on the inside main dining room. And that's a quick reminder to everybody out there. If you're looking to have a corporate event or say a wedding or a big anniversary party, Maxine's on Shine is always there to take care of your bigger events. But tomorrow night, come rain or shine or just a very nice relaxed evening, we got you covered on the outdoor garden patio area. This weekend, right now, got our Rejuvenation brunch going, where it's happy hour all day long, everybody. You get 5 for $5. That's our draft beers, our wines, sangria, mimosas, or any drinks with Amsterdam vodka in it. $5 all day long. Beautiful, delicious food. Of course, Rejuvenation brunch tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday with live music going on for you. And then, of course, Mike, it's coming. The Mac Daddy of them all, the Epicurean staycation season is upon us, brother. It is the return of magical dining.
There you go.
Yes. Hey, everybody, it is back. Magical dining, absolutely amazing program that's put on by the good folks over at Visit Orlando, or who are the foremost concierge in helping to promote tourism and business to our convention centers and all of our hospitality industries in the greater Orlando area, around the country and around the world. They put on magical dining. And this is, this year, Mike, they've got the largest amount of restaurants, in excess of 150 restaurants are participating this year. Yeah. It's quite the slew. So it stretches all the way from down past Disney and actually works all the way over to the coastline a little bit. You can even get some restaurants over on the beach side that are jumping in on it this year. For us, we've been involved in it for over 12 years. This is, there's 2 different price levels on that for everybody. It's a 3-course meal, either for $40 or $60, just predicated upon the standard menu items that a restaurant might have. In our case, we fall into that $40 category. And every year we consistently get told, brother, that we have one of the most dynamic menus. It's not one of those little she-fa menus where you get 3 basic soups, salad, 1 something on the appetizer.
Give me something, yeah,
give you something good, right? Yeah, so in our case, you're looking at about 5 appetizers to pick from, 5 entrees to pick from, 3 desserts to pick from. It's going to be the creme de la creme. And then some of our favorite items that you've liked on our menu, there's going to be some upgrade options this year. You come in and say, okay, well, that $40 menu looks awesome, Kurt, but what if I wanted that lobster ravioli instead of the chicken Maxine's? There's going to be an upgrade option for you. Hey, Kurt, that Wagyu filet of sirloin sounds great, but what if I wanted the filet mignon? We're going to have an upgrade option for you. I'm going to have some secret stash bottles of wine, some excellent wine pairing selections of the week to add some extra value to the menu. And along with that, we're going to have chef's featured magical mystery dining item of the week in the appetizers and in the entrees. So chef's going to be, whether it be by land, by sea, by air, he's going to be having something new to add into the menu. So you'll have a chance to come back maybe a couple times to visit us. Normally we're open Wednesday through Saturday nights, but this year we're going to be open up for Tuesday nights as well. So it'll be Tuesday night through Saturday night, magical dining 5 nights a week at Maxine's on Shine. Those seatings are from 5 to 9 p.m., y'all. We don't close at 9. That just simply means that's when we stop seating. The kitchen doesn't close until 10, so you got plenty of time to sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're going to be having our live music on the weekends for you, kicking it off on Tuesday nights. That whole program starts a week from today on the 14th. Friday the 14th kicks off Magical Dining, 6 weeks, runs through the end of September. So we want to invite everybody out for that. Of course, we want you to come out tonight and tomorrow night for Sip and Savor, followed by Magical Dining the following week. Fantasy Football League, guys, don't forget about us. And those of you that are planning your holiday parties, reach out to us. We'd love to make for an exceptional experience for you, entertaining your coworkers, your families, your friends, your parties, that sort of thing. We do a great job and take a lot of pride when you trust us for such occasions. So all kinds of good stuff going on, Mike. And I know you've got a whole kinds of good stuff to get done before, before you get out.
Yeah, we got it. We got to scoot, Kurt. But man, as always, man, you always make us drool, and looking ahead to a lot of good times out there at Maxine's on Shine. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.
Kurt from Maxine's on Shine. Back to wrap things up next. Apparently, Aaron Donald is getting his speed trainer out to Los Angeles as he still is LeBroning this decision on whether or not he wants to play for the Rams this upcoming year. Once again, a very happy birthday to Lee Corso, Coach. 91 years young. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for listening.
He made game day.
He absolutely did. He made college football, man. He's a face of the sport the way Dick Vitale is the face of college basketball, much in the same way.
Agreed.
Appreciate you guys listening all week long. It has been my pleasure to sit in for Mark, and always appreciate Mark allowing me the opportunity to do so. CV, you're a great partner in crime. Thank you, as always, my friend, as well.
I always love working with you, Tuck.
What are
Appreciate
we
ya.
doing?
What are we doing?
Says the hat. He's got the dad jokes. He's got the hat. He's got his Cowboys all fired up for the season. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the weekend. I will talk to you in a couple of weeks. I'll be back in for Mark then. See ya.